Hello, I'm here with Caitlin, and we're going to talk about smart toilets, among other things. But let's start with that, Caitlin.
Yeah, so finally, all our dreams have come true. Recently, I got my cat a smart cat toilet, and she loves it. The cat toilet like automatically cleans itself. And so what happens is that the cat will, do her business. She'll then stay outside because there's like a timer on it before it starts cleaning. So she'll do her business. Then she'll sit outside the bathroom, wait for the timer to go off. And as soon as the toilet starts cleaning itself, she'll run into the bathroom and just watch her litter box clean itself. It's the most amazing thing. So someone must have seen this and thought, humans need something like this. And sure enough, um, oops, here we go. The Verge has an article talking about an $12,000 toilet that has Alexa in it. So this is an article by Alex Krantz. And so here's a picture of the toilet. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. It does not look very appealing. It doesn't even have like a real back. I don't even know how comfortable it is to sit on. But it does have RGB lighting. So all you gamers out there that wants to improve your game, here's your big chance. You can get this $12,000 toilet. And so the idea is that, of course, it has Alexa built in. Why does a toilet need Alexa? I don't know. I imagine it has like sensors, and it'll be like, I see you've been eating a lot of corn lately. Would you like me to place another order? Like, I don't know. But I saw this and I thought this was absolutely hilarious. And yeah. So like I said, yeah, so it has LED and surround sound built into the toilet, which is obviously a must. I mean, if you're gonna get a smart toilet, it better have surround sound, right? So yep, here we go. Oh, it'll automatically close the lid too. That's the other big thing. So
Automatically what?
close the lid.
Close the lid, right? Okay,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
that's fine. Okay, good.
Yep. It also
Well,
has like UV lights for like cleaning itself and stuff. So there's a few interesting things, but the killer design, of course, is that having Alexa built in is the way to go. It's a smart
I
toilet.
guess.
It's IoT device, IoT toilet. We all thought it would come. Here it is.
I guess. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, there's a study of Jupiter that caught my attention. Um, they showed that Jupiter has weather, which you can see, but it has actually significant weather. And what happens is one band in the north will get hot and a band in the south will get cold, and the two are connected. And apparently, the same thing is true of Earth, which I never heard of before. Um, there's a term for these things, um, like telephonic connected radio or something, weather. Teleconnection, they call it, which apparently has been known since the 19th century in Earth. And this is what's going on with the La Nina, El Nino, where if one part of the Earth gets warm, another part gets cold, and it's not understood on Earth or on Jupiter. And in particular, people were very surprised to find it on Jupiter because Jupiter's orbital tilt is only 3 degrees. So there is nothing to drive north-south weather patterns like there is on Earth. So I was surprised by that. And this reminds me of something that I've heard for years because all my right-wing friends keep saying every time there's cold weather, well, there's no global warming. Like right now, there's a cold front, so that proves there's no global warming. And that's not how it works. When you heat up the planet, it's not like the whole thing gets uniformly warmer. You disturb the deep weather patterns like the trade winds and the undersea ocean currents, so regions get unexpected weather. So now we're getting a blast of cold because the underlying weather pattern has been changed. Anyway, it reminded me how much we don't understand about weather on Earth or Jupiter. And I got a lot of them, so I'm going to take a look at another one. There's a Windows vulnerability, which they're saying is as dangerous as eternal blue, and it went undetected for a long time. So there's a new one coming out, CVE 2022-37958. And they say, unlike Eternal Blue, you do not need SMB. You can also attack servers over RDP. Any remote control signal can be used to attack it, although I did not find a public proof of concept to use. But they say this one is really bad. You got to put on your patches, of course. So this may be the next one that becomes a pen tester's regular tool in trade. So anyway, you've got Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, so a bunch of artists are really upset at AI art generation. So if we look here, there's an article in the Daily Dot about how artists are they're trying to fight back. So the idea is that a lot of artists feel threatened by AI because AI can produce some really amazing artistry. And they have somewhat of a point that the training data used for the AI does mimic other types of art styles seen by other artists. So they do sort of have a moral point that they came up or their styles were ingested by this AI. Other people are then using this AI to generate art that was based in part, at least, on their stylistic efforts. Now, as far as I know, it is not illegal to copy another artist's style, like how they like to paint things. Like you can, if you like a style of painting, there's nothing illegal about being inspired by that and using it to make your own work. However, artists are very upset and very threatened, and so they came up with this really weird idea that I don't think is going to work. So this article on the Daily Dot by Michael Thalen talks about how they're using the AI image generators to create Disney characters and create a lot of them and put them on merch. So hopefully Disney will, and Nintendo characters too, and hopefully they'll get upset and Disney and Nintendo will start suing. Now, as far as I know, it is not illegal to make fan art. So you can draw Mickey Mouse to your heart's content. You can draw Mario to your heart's content. You can draw Spider-Man to your heart's content. You can draw Pikachu to your heart's content. What you cannot do is you cannot sell merchandise based on those things. Like Nintendo has the sole right to, sell Pikachu branded merchandise. And so I think, as far as I can tell, their goal is to have Nintendo and Disney get so upset that they'll sue the AI generation program. But as far as I know, like traditionally most art, digital art, is made in Photoshop, but those companies have never tried to sue Photoshop. They always go after the people making the product and selling and selling the product. So I don't think this is going to work. But it is interesting to see all these people very upset over AI generated artwork. And I do admit it is very impressive, the artwork that AI can produce. And I will point out that not every artist is on this anti-AI bandwagon. A lot of them view AI as a wonderful tool to be used because a lot of time in art, you have these like detailed backgrounds and stuff. You don't want to spend hours and hours painstakingly drawing every leaf on a tree. Sometimes it just helps to have an AI help with that. And then you can just tweak it and stuff later. So some people are viewing AI art as a tool, and others are very threatened. And it's very interesting to see this saga unfold.
Yeah, it is. And I wonder if you could copyright a style. I guess you can't.
No, like I said, I think this is not going to work because Disney does not sue the Photoshop. They don't sue the people that produce the vinyl that's used to even put stuff on the fake products. I mean, they go after the people making and selling them, not the tools used.
I see. So even if they manage to lure them into making a lawsuit, the lawsuit would not address what they're interested in.
I don't think so. No, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but as far as I know, it is not illegal to use a tool like AI generators to make copyrighted characters for your own personal enjoyment.
I guess that's right. Okay. Well, I saw this all over the news, Google adding more encryption to it. It is not end-to-end encryption. It is actually a strange thing, and I'm not entirely sure what the point is. It's not for normal Gmail users. It's for business users. And if your business user subscribes to a third-party product that does key management in the cloud, you can encrypt all your Gmail, but then your company would have access to all the keys in the cloud to decrypt it later. So, I'm not sure what the point is at all. I'm not sure why you even need Google's cooperation for this. It seems to me like a third-party product could always be encrypting things before you email them. But anyway, this is available. And of course, the far more interesting step and important would be if Google actually switches to real end-to-end encryption like Signal. That would have increased the privacy of people a lot and greatly upset a lot of law enforcement. But this particular move seems to me like a very gradual move that's not going to change much of anything for anybody. And there's something I was very pleased to see. Brain fog is one of the most feared long COVID symptoms, and they now have a treatment for it. Based on a small pilot study with a small number of cases, these these doctors found that they could just prescribe other drugs that are already used for brain problems, and they're able to clear this up. So it's very pleasing to see. You do not need to wait for a medical trial or anything. You can just ask a physician, and they can just give an off-label prescription of existing drugs that are intended to be used for things like ADHD and other things that affect the frontal cortex, and they're found to be effective to clear up the brain fog from COVID. So I think that might help a lot of people. Anyway, let's hear about influencers.
Yeah, so I don't understand why this is such a new thing, or why this isn't done more often. But in today's information age and social media age, anyone can become an influencer. By the way, nice haircut, Sam. And so there's a article on Fortune.com, written by, let's see, Matt Ott and the Associated Press. And what's happening is that social influencers are creating groups pretending to be stock market gurus. And they're getting fans, they're getting people sucked into their TikTok accounts. They'll start signal groups or, all this stuff. And they'll invite people in and they'll give them stock advice because they're so great. But of course, it turns out it's a pump and dump stock scheme, as all these things are. Don't trust anyone willing to give you stock advice for free. And so, yeah, the Justice Department found a group of people that basically committed over $1.5 million worth of fraud on Twitter, running pump and dump schemes. These people include Perry Matlock, John, oh gosh, I'm going to mess this up, Rybakzisk, Edward Constantin, Zach, Thomas Cooperman, and Gary Deal. There's also another person, Daniel Light, who hosted a podcast. So any podcast, any social media thing telling you to go buy this stock, do this, it's great. There's a good chance it's a pump and dump scheme. So basically what they did is they told people, hey, invest in this stock. It's going to be awesome. It's the best stock ever. And so everyone invested in it. And then while they were doing that, they, without telling their group, took their money out. And that's how they got rich. And that's a pump and dump scheme.
I wonder how the law works here, because you can be like a football player and just endorse like some aftershave or something, and that's legal. Is it that you didn't disclose that you were paid for the promotion? I suppose that's it.
Supposedly it is the pump and dump part. Like, you can, if you're honestly wanting to give out free stock advice, you can do that. But running a pump and dump scheme is apparently what's illegal here.
Well, I'm just wondering. So if they pay, for example, Jimmy Fallon and Paris Hilton pushed NFTs, and they're being sued, saying trying to use, I think, a similar law to say that the claim there is they did not disclose that they had been paid to promote the NFTs, but it's very much the same thing. And
not really. I think not disclosing that you were paid for an advertisement is a fairness and advertisement issue. Yeah, this is straight up. Yeah. But pump and dump schemes like this is straight up fraud.
I guess I've heard that. I'm having trouble understanding the difference. They tell you to buy something saying it's worth a lot when it's not worth a lot.
Right. Intentionally lying to people, telling them it's worth a lot when it's not. Now, if you don't disclose,
advertising is essentially.
Well, if you don't disclose, that, hey, I've been paid to do this. I mean, you're not necessarily lying about the product. You can't be, you're not necessarily misleading people about it. But when you intentionally mislead people with the intent of ripping them off, stealing their money, getting rich, for some reason the government looks down upon that.
Well, it's part of I understand. I can think of one difference. I guess you would actually own the stock. Well, no, and then you tell other people to buy it because you think it's valuable. Well, anyway, I, I'd like to have someone explain to me more exactly how this works out to be a crime and is different than ordinary advertising, because I'm really not seeing it. Like if I
Uh,
buy some shoes and I tell everybody you should all buy these shoes too because they're great, or if I buy some stock and I tell you all you should buy this stock because it's great, what's the exact difference there?
like I said, if you bought stock and you think this stock is great, and you tell other people to buy stock, as far as I know, that's not illegal.
Yeah.
But if
Then
you
how do
buy,
you tell? Then what exactly is pump and dump that's different than that?
is that you tell people to, you gather a large group of people or a large amount of investors or a few investors with a lot of money. You tell them to invest and to keep holding on to that stock.
Yeah.
But you do not do that same thing yourself. Once that stock goes up, you pull out. You tell them to keep their money in there, and
Right.
then
So if I went on my show and said I sold mine today and you should all sell yours too, then it's not pump and dump.
correct,
Well, then I would
correct.
still get the money though. I'm
Well, I
the
mean,
opposite of this.
you would I mean it would um yeah
Most of these
it's the
things are
fraud part. It's the fraud part of intentionally raising a stock price, manipulating the stock market. You're dealing with people's monies, rich people's monies, and so that's highly illegal. Unlike fairness in advertisements, which you're not dealing with lots of rich people's monies.
Hmm. Uh-huh. Well, anyway, um, I there's another kind of quantum computer attracting attention. Um, and this pointed out something. There's an article on SciTech Daily about it that pointed out something I had not thought of before. In quantum computers, the qubits are not only the processing units, they're also the memory. And the two are inextricably linked. And this raises a huge technical problem that if you're going to have a lot of qubits, each qubit must be able to interact with every other qubit, not just some of them. Like in a normal computer, you have the data in RAM, you move it down to a processor to process, and then you put it back in RAM. But there's no way to copy qubits back to other qubits to do that. So that's a huge hardware problem. And so the new computers apparently address this by doing spin. I don't really quite understand exactly how this works, but these new qubits use a different technology, and they encode the relative coordination between the bits instead of representing individual bits. So it's the connection between the physical objects that encode the qubits, and for some reason it's easier to connect them together. So anyway, that's may help move things forward. And the other last thing I want to mention is Stripe. There's an article out saying that a small company it's on Hacker News, and they say use Stripe for 2 years to run a fashion brand, and then began selling more products than usual. So Stripe froze their account, grabbed $50,000, held it for at least 120 days with no explanation, no way to appeal, no way to get anybody on the phone. And as we mentioned before, PayPal does the same thing. Flipper Zero sold a product, and when it became popular, then PayPal just froze $1.3 million in money, and apparently it's still frozen. They'll freeze it for like 6 months or more, again, with no reason, no explanation, no right to appeal. It is amazing to me that this is legal, and this is a problem with apparently all these intermediate payment processors. One comment I saw that made some sense is they say real banks will vet you before they let you be a customer. And it's hard to get them to trust you, to give you any credit. But these next generation financial instruments like Stripe and PayPal will let anybody in and then decide later that they don't like you and freeze your money. But in any case, I'm surprised. I can see refusing to serve someone and giving them back your money and saying you can't run payments through me anymore, but holding your money for a long time without any explanation, without passing it on, seems very strange. And I don't know what it means. Maybe they're afraid that customers are going to complain and this will be ruled illegally obtained money and they'll have to return it or something. But it is quite disturbing. I mean, PayPal is quite popular and Stripe is popular, and it's a thing to be aware of that this might happen to you if you use them. Anyway, that's it for this one. And the next one we'll record on Thursday evening because I'll be on an airplane Friday, so I'll be out a little bit early.